Okay, so there's basically two preferable ways to review Furiosa. One would be to have a conversation with one or two or three other people, and just have an open forum discussing the movie, and I could just break it down one thing after another and just express my viewpoints in that method. Or I could just do like a commentary on the movie and just kind of roast the movie throughout, because there's literally dozens and dozens of things that just every single scene, multiple times in every single scene, that I just had issues with stupidity and dumb things. So until I do one of those things, or if I never do them, this is going to be a simple little spoiler. I hate using the word rant, but that's kind of what it is, just because I have very few good things about about the movie that I like. Like I said in my initial thoughts, I could probably make a nice 30 to 45 minute short film out of this, and have it be pretty good. But when you're taking a look at a 2.5 hour long movie with so much filler and unneeded things in it, and it's just obviously way easier just to go through the laundry list of some of the main things that stood out to me as being awful. And then my one big question I have is, if you overlook or choose to ignore the faults of the movie, then why are you critiquing something? Isn't that your job to say, well, here's some bad things in the movie. It brings down the score because of this. And sure, some movies might have things that may not totally work, but there's so many great things in the movie that it makes you forget about those things as they're going on, or you don't care about them. And usually they're small enough things that it doesn't really matter that much in the long run. But with Furiosa, there's major things that I find to be extremely problematic. But kind of starting from beginning to end, it's been a couple days since I've seen it, so I feel like I'm going to forget a lot of the things that I did not like about it, unless I was in a conversation where people could remind me, maybe. But starts off with these bikers. They have found this green land, and I'm not sure why 10-year-old Furiosa decides to cut their gas, because is she trying to get their gas? I forget. But wouldn't that just lead to them staying there and not leaving? Wouldn't they want those guys to leave? But anyway, of course she gets caught and they leave with her. And then along their way back to whatever base that they're going back to, headed by Dementis, Chris Hemsworth, a couple of them get killed by some of the women from his cap, including Furiosa's mom. But one guy makes it all the way, and he has Furiosa, and he tells everybody when he gets there, oh, I found a place where there's greenery and thrive and people are thriving. It's a great place, and I found little Furiosa here, but I want to tell Dementis myself about it. And like the second in command or whatever decides, no, I'm going to be an idiot and try to take try to make it seem like I am the one who knows about the green place, even though Dementis surely knows I didn't leave. And Dementis even calls him out on that. He says, stop trying to take credit for this. You didn't leave. You didn't bring the girl here. Why are you so stupid that you think that you would be able to take credit for it? No, this guy decides to kill this biker who knows where the Greenland is, because of course they have to figure out a really stupid way not to make the movie progress to where they actually go there. So Dementis, you think he would do something against this second in command of his? No, it's okay. He can continue throughout the movie being second in command, even though he's a complete idiot and did something very, very, just very stupid. So anyway, Furiosa's mom is able to rescue her, only to realize that they're catching up to them. So Furiosa's mom decides to stay back and fight off as many as she can before she knows ultimately she'll get captured and killed. and Furiosa doesn't even get away because, of course, she runs back. And then Furiosa's mom is getting tortured, and then we get a cut and we get a time jump. And I'm thinking, okay, so we're finally getting a time jump to adult Furiosa. No, same age. And there's this scene where completely not needed scene. I was so confused because I thought the scene was leading up to a reveal that Furiosa's mom was actually still alive, because a whole bunch of people fight over which ones get to have the next 4 motorcycles that are free, and this one woman wins, and the camera slowly zooms in on her, and she has scars all over her face, and I was thinking, is that Furiosa's mom? Was she just tortured, and is now she kind of, is she being forced to kind of be with their group? I, I don't know. And then I don't recall seeing that character ever again, unless she was in the backgrounds of scenes or something. But I thought it was important for her character to be shown in such light. Yeah, I thought until the end of the movie basically that it was Furiosa's mom. Then she never came back. Then I just forgot about it. But then it wasn't Furiosa's mom, because she was actually killed in the very beginning. So yeah, the movie has me confused throughout. And anytime that it unconfuses me, it either brings up a plot hole or it does not close a plot hole that was already happening, and it makes prior decisions in the movie come off as being stupid. So yeah, so we meander along. It takes at least an hour before the adult Furiosa gets introduced in the movie. Well, anyway, Chris Hemsworth, the only worthwhile character for the most part, who's somewhat interesting. He goes to this land headed by Immortan Joe, and there's a fight. There's a fight scene that happens that could have been really great. Could have been planned and well thought out, and had like an idea of how things would happen and how. But no, just there's no flow to the action scene at all. Things just kind of happen, and you think that it could be really some really interesting ideas. No, things just kind of happen. There's some quick cuts, and then Chris Hemsworth and his men just run away. But then finally, there's a deal struck, and the Immortan Joe decides he's going to get Furiosa for himself. Okay, yeah. Well, and then Furiosa is like in her prison cell or whatever, and she starts cutting off her hair close to the root, and she's making a wig out of it. Okay, so more confusion coming in. Why is she making a wig out of her own hair? And then Erectus, or whatever his name is, takes her into this other room to question her, and he spins her around and grabs her hair, which allows her to run off, leaving him the wig. So she went through all of that in the hopes that someone would grab her hair so that way she could run away. Run away to where? Oh, well, she's apparently an astronomer, because she's able to tattoo the stars on her arms so she can go back home. So I guess that's her main goal of the movie, is to get back home. Or it could be vengeance. She doesn't express any emotions whatsoever. So we really don't know what her main goal of the movie is. I guess vengeance, because she doesn't try that hard to go home in the long run anyway. So she stupidly creates a wig in order to escape, knowingly, momentarily, from the grasp of a guy who's 5 seconds behind her. And he runs out on this ledge on the side of the mountain, and it's either a 200-foot drop off or it's a walkway to the next rock ledge, and that's covered with people on it. So I wonder where she could have went. Oh, don't bother to look on the cliff edge below you. Don't bother to tell anyone that you messed up and she got away temporarily, but she's only right there. Let's grab her. No. Just walk away. Forget about it. And so we get a time jump, which doesn't seem like it's that big of a time jump. Maybe a year or something like that. But Furiosa is now still on their side, but just a commoner, and she's walking around with a garb around her, and people call her boy. Okay, if they call her boy, doesn't anyone wonder where he came from? They're just, oh, here's this boy here. We're gonna call boy, and it's been a while since the last saw her, so she's been masquerading as some random boy for like a year or longer. And then she reveals that she takes off her garb and she has long hair again. Okay, so why are they calling her boy? But when she escaped and she didn't leave, she just joined back in. Did this? Did no one? Did Morton Joe or anyone ask where she went? Did any? I mean, that was never brought up. It's this big section of the movie that has a whole bunch of stupid things that lead up to nothing. It's it's absolutely unforgivable how bad this section in particular of the movie is. That I don't care how good the rest of the movie could have been. When you take a look at this section alone, this is a major issue, and I've seen some people say, "Oh, you just got to forget stuff like that's done on purpose." So, writing unnecessary things, writing stupid things, writing things that take up time in a movie, wasting my time, making me sitting there, making me in a confused state when I should be enjoying the movie. No, I'm in a confused state, and then I get anger because when things do start to get cleared up, then it makes all the stupid things that happen for nothing and gives me big plot holes. So it was either bad writing or it was done on purpose. Either way, there's no way that you can safely call this movie good with crap like this happening in it. Yeah, it truly is terrible, very very bad. This should be criticized to death and spoken about, and barely anyone even mentions this. It's like their memory blocks stuff like this. And do you just do you just ignore stuff like this and critique the film because you want to say that you liked it to try and fit in with a popular narrative that this should be a good movie? I don't know. Let me know below. The biggest action scene in the movie is when there's like a semi truck filled with vegetables going across, and all I know is there's groups of people and they're fighting one another. So there's this other group of people who's coming to obviously probably get the vegetables, which is another stupid thing. Yeah, vegetables. You're transporting vegetables around, and I don't know. It was kind of dumb, but well, here's an idea. Instead of trying to have this battle on a chase with a semi, how about you try to take out the driver of the semi first? Wouldn't that make sense? No, they're the person that they go after last. Oh, because so action can happen, right? And instead of figuring out a smart way to have this action scene go, no, let's not put logic into it. This action scene, in my mind, I was laughing at how just one stupid thing after another was happening. It was crazy. And each time they threw a little bomb on the semi, I was wondering, okay, they're not trying to destroy the semi itself. They do know that it could explode and destroy all the vegetables, and the action scene just everything about it just did not make sense. And sure, some of it looked good, some of the stuff that was happening was okay, but just like any other action scene in the movie, there's this gloss of bad CGI over it that just it just made it feel like it was almost like a video game cutscene. You're just seeing something happen. I was not emotionally invested in the movie whatsoever because the characters are not emotionally investing. I mean, it's crazy how the characters are. It seems like most characters they're either crazy, like the white painted characters. They're happy to commit suicide. I kept on waiting for those white characters to commit suicide left and right, and each time it was hilarious. And I'm thinking, are we meant to laugh at this? I'm not laughing at it because it's funny. I'm laughing at it because it shouldn't be funny, but it comes off as being funny. I don't know. Then you have the little midget guy who's hiding inside the semi, who keeps on popping out. And I'm thinking, one of these times this guy's gonna get pop. He's gonna pop out, and he's finally gonna get shot. I'm waiting for this to happen. Why does he keep on popping out of here? I'm guessing that's his suicide need, is hopefully this time I can pop out and get killed. Sure enough, he gets shot in the forehead, and I had to laugh at that because I was like, finally. But it seems like even though they should be protecting the vegetables, they were more than happy to die just to. It was like they were excited if they got overmatched and killed. Some of the strangest things. But yeah, so you would have emotion like that, over the top stuff, like Chris Hemsworth's character being just kind of over the top with his awful, awful prosthetic nose. That just took me out of the movie every chance it came on. But then you have like Praetorian Jack or whatever his name was, and Furiosa herself, and lots of other characters who seemingly they just want to be sterile and not show any emotion whatsoever, even when they get injured. Even when Furiosa got a knife in the shoulder or whatever that was, and he pulled it out, her reaction is, it's like, I know you're the stoic person who's everyone should be fearful of or something like that, but you can't go like, ooh, hey, that stung a little bit at least. I don't get it. And then later on in the movie, she's driving right next to a monster truck, which, here's another thing. Motorcycles use less gas than other vehicles, but then they're out here driving monster trucks around. And this thing's right beside her. So what does she decide to do? Well, let me just stick my entire arm out there and let that monster truck drive up against it. And she finally shows a little bit of reaction because this thing, now her arm's barely hanging on with that stupid tattoo on it. But her reaction is kind of like, ah. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know the character. I'm not realizing that her character is armless because I completely forget about that aspect in Fury Road. But I'm sitting there thinking, did she get a scrape on her arm, or did she lose that arm in that sequence? Because I mean, that thing rubbed up against her arm. Her emotions makes me believe that she got some scuffing, but no, it's kind of like barely hanging on, and she loses it anyway shortly thereafter. It's like, okay, so I guess that tattoo meant nothing that she did 15 years ago, because now she never wants to use that stupid tattoo in 15 years to try to go back home. Now her arm's gone, and now she's going to be able to magically fashion a mechanical arm because, of course, yeah, so the characters are they're very stoic, and then the good old scene where finally, in that big truck scene, everyone dies, finally, except her and the Praetorian. And what's her reaction? Is to be defensive against him and run away, only for him to just a couple minutes later say, well, you're going to die if you run away. Let's just join forces. And then, oh yeah, okay. Oh, well, that was another waste of time. There was so much wasted time in this movie. It was crazy. But yeah, there's no emotion, and any sort of emotions are when people touch their foreheads. The two women do it at the very beginning, and it's like, okay, so that's like a symbolic thing of good luck, maybe? I don't know. And then Praetorian and Furiosa do it later on in the movie in a scene where it's like, this would be the scene in a movie where they like the romance that's been building up finally comes to a head and they get it on or something like that. In this movie, the movie doesn't try whatsoever to try and build any sort of romance between these two characters. Not at all. So, okay, that's perfectly fine, but don't then have a scene that comes from out of nowhere where they're like touching foreheads in this setting that you think is romantic, but it's not really. You don't know what that touching of the foreheads really represent in this world. So yeah, more time wasted, especially since the Praetorian is a character that's introduced like halfway into the movie, and he's in some good scenes, and he's a pretty good character, but then he dies. So he doesn't even stick around long enough to make his entrance halfway into the movie worth it. So yeah, he's like he's the best good character in the movie. We know way less about him than Furiosa, but he's still more likable. Um, yeah, so he's the best as far as the good side, if you want to call it that, is he's killed off. I didn't give one care about Furiosa whatsoever. Not nothing. She was so emotionless. I didn't care about her backstory. She never attempted to go home, apparently, even when she devised her idiotic wig escape plan. So she never got a chance in 15 years to escape. And then when she is free, she doesn't try. She doesn't show any. She doesn't show that she wants to go back to her home or anything like that. So she's just there, and in a world where I'm not sure who's really good because everyone's trying to survive. And so we know Chris Hemsworth is bad because yeah, he does some naughty things in the movie, but he's so charismatic that I side with him. I was rooting for his character because at least he was good. He was the main thing. This movie should have been the forget the Mad Max saga, that nonsense of having that subtitle on there. Is that your way of trying to get as many people in the seats? Is the movie not going to be able to hold up on its own? I mean, it's going to take place in the Mad Max world, so a Mad Max saga subtitle, that's dumb. But the Praetorian, the movie could have been about him, or better yet, the movie could have been about and I always forget these, Dementus, these characters' names. Dementus, a Mad Max saga, would have been a way better movie. Way better. Yeah, so even though his character is quote unquote bad, it seems like everyone's bad. I mean, everyone's basically trying to survive. I mean, he seems like a kind of a good guy as long as you don't stand in his way, really. I mean, he seems like a leader who's kind of friendly. He mentions a daughter or something that he lost. He seems like an okay guy, and he's crazy in a fun, good way. But even his character gets dumb by the end. He does some stupid things, of course. Yeah, I could go through the entire movie and just pick apart the tiniest of things. As far as anything big that I can think of, and just any big talking points that could really, I mean, I don't know. I think I've said enough to be able to state that this movie has no business being praised as much as it is. With all these issues in the movie, with certifiable plot holes and talking points that I think I could win debates on, as far as how they come off on the movie. And I mean, sure, I may be wrong on some things. Let me know. The woman with the scars, did I just completely forget about her character being a major character in that movie somehow? Or was she set up to be a character then just get cut out? Whoa. If someone can defend stuff, let me know. But I've never seen anyone defend it, because when critics talk about this movie, they don't bring up these issues. Or if they bring up any issues whatsoever, they just kind of gloss over it and pretend that it does not matter. And then they just want to say, oh, it's epic and it looks great, and oh, the action. And it's like, okay, your job as a critic is to say, yeah, here's everything I like about it. What's the bad things in it? What's some things that should have easily been fixed? If it should have easily been fixed, the more easier it is to fix it, and the more like so many things that should have been fixed in a script before it was even approved to be a movie. If these things are not fixed, it makes the movie not good. It brings the movie down a peg. And the more of those things and the bigger that they are, the lower that you have to rate it. As a critic, be honest and realize how bad a movie can be. Um, as far as sitting back and just enjoying the movie, like I said, even if you just watch the action scenes, if you can gloss over everything else that happens in the movie, and somehow you only can watch the action scenes, even those I thought were done poorly for a multitude of reasons. So I don't know. I hope that in the near future, before it would be something, that's out of topic, but I hope I would be able to conversate with someone who wants to defend the movie and maybe tell me, maybe clear some things up. I don't know how some of these things can possibly be cleared up. Honestly, I would like to sit along with some people, watch the movie, and then talk about it as it goes on. And I think that'd be a fun time. But I don't know. If you want to defend the movie and tell me how wrong I am, let me know in the comments. Better yet, of course, if you say, yeah, you bring up a lot of interesting points, let me know in the comments about those as well. And I don't know, let me know about critics nowadays. Do they really approach movies like they should? Do they really think about certifiably bad things in the movies? Do you ever watch a movie and say, yeah, how did this get past the screenwriting stage to even get greenlit? As a writer myself, sure, I'm not published anything, but I critique my stuff harder than anything because I want something that I wrote that possibly could be read by someone else. I don't want something to come off as bad because then it makes me look like I'm not a good writer, right? And if I do purposely make something bad in a movie, there better be a good reason for it. There better be a fantastic reason for it. And this Furiosa, nothing makes up for so many time wasting moments and scenes and things that don't make sense. And yeah, so overall, my experience with Furiosa is confusion, waiting for explanations to come my way, and then not getting those explanations whatsoever, and me being left totally confused about lots of things, or confusion that gives me an answer, and then I tell myself, oh, well now, thank you for confirming the plot hole, and thank you for confirming how all those previous things that were done in that scene was done. So either way, I was left puzzled or mad at plot holes that were cropping up. And then once you finally do get to some, the only good parts that I could relax was when Chris Hemsworth was on the screen. Then it was like, okay, I'm able to keep watching the movie for now. I'm not gonna leave the theater yet. And then an action scene comes on, and it's like, okay, well maybe this could be at least swaying the movie in a good direction. Maybe no, stupid things are happening all over the place. And then, like I said, halfway into the movie, I finally decided to do my own internal commentary of the movie and just laugh at how stupid dozens of things were happening on screen in front of me. And lots of times I leave movies halfway into them because they're bad. This one was bad, but I just had to stay to the end just to see how more ridiculously bad it could get. And boy, it did not disappoint in that because it was nonstop badness. But like I said, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on my questions I've posed and the movie itself. And hopefully the next one that I catch you in is going to be a better movie. Hopefully. See ya.